Okay, so now I'm going to jump into the variables part of the modern tutorial. And I want to show you an analogy that they display not right away, but later on. In case you don't know what variables are, if you have taken an algebra class, you're familiar with the letters X, Y, etc. when they're used as results for mathematical when you say X is equal to something, Y is equal to something else. It's kind of like using variables in that you are assigning basically a name of something that you pick to hold a value. So they give you this pretty cool example about a real life analogy, and basically they're saying, well, let's say that you have a variable that's called message, and you can imagine it as a box called message, which can hold a value. In this case, it's going to say hello, and you'll see the quotes here. These are going to be very important when dealing with variables, because there's multiple kinds of variables. There's different data types. JavaScript is weakly typed, which means that it's not very picky about what you name them, as long as you don't name them with a starting number or you use certain words. But for the most part, you can name a variable anything you want and give it just about any value you want. You'll be learning about strings and also about integers and numbers and how those are different, but they are values nonetheless. And I like the analogy in that it shows you that you can have this box with that value in it, and at any point you can change it. Basically, you just trash whatever value it used to have and change it with something else. And that's an essential role of programming, is that variables can hold multiple values throughout the life of the variable inside a program. That being said, I'll go back to the beginning, and they show you the definition, what a variable is, etc. Now, as I said maybe earlier, this particular tutorial, it tends to be a little bit more in tune with what's going on. If you find multiple tutorials out there that teach you how to use JavaScript, maybe you'll see when you assign a value to a variable, they have you do var, which is short for variable, var, and then the name of the variable. This one uses a more modern approach and uses the word let. Let and var, for the most part, are the same thing, unless we're doing specific things. For the most part, though, if you go with let, you can't go wrong because it's totally valid in modern JavaScript. However, if you use var, as found in other tutorials, that's fine as well. Okay, so that being said, I'll go back into my JavaScript over here, and I'll guess I can save this or just get rid of it and not worry about the HTML at all. I'm just going to move this out of the way and just worry about the JavaScript for now, which means for at least now I don't need that right now. And let's just go down and see what it says. Now, as I've told you, the variable can be like a little box that can hold a value inside of it. Before we use this value, though, we need to give it a reason to exist. We need to declare it. So what's recommended nowadays is to say let. First of all, let this variable have a value, and we can just say, let's say we have a name, or at least a variable called message. This is just a name we're assigning to this value. I'm going to close this with a semicolon. Although semicolons are not required in JavaScript, it's good practice to finish every command with a semicolon. And all this does, it doesn't say much. It says let message. You're basically saying, I want to use a variable and I want to call it message. That's all that says. You could also have said let message equal hello. And this does just what it sounds like. It creates a variable called message. Because you put the value inside quotes, it knows now that it's a string being a series of letters, numbers, etc. It's just characters that that you type in, that you give the value of, and that's that for assigning the value. If I wanted to display it, let's say that I've run this as I did the other one, and rather than saying alert hello, HELLO, I don't need the quotes because now I have a variable called message. So I will type in to show me the value of message in an alert. I'll close the semicolon and run this script. And I expect to see an embedded page at CodePen.io says hello. And not because I typed hello in the alert, but rather because I declared a variable called message that has the value hello. Maybe instead of having the word hello, I wanted to give it the value of the number 5. And when I run that, I get the return that says 5. Now, that doesn't maybe mean much right now. What's so important about 5? Well, message is 5. What if I said, what if it's 5 plus 5? Would I see the number 5, the plus symbol, and then the number 5 again? If I run it, however, I get the number 10. So this is where programming now comes into play. I have not only assigned it the value of 5, I gave it the value of 5 plus the value of 5 for the total of 10. And I did this all with one variable called message, which earlier also gave us the word hello, and now it's giving us the number 10 as a result of 5 plus 5. And earlier it also showed us the number 5 when assigned that value specifically. Now, hopefully this is not very out of the ordinary. It's just that JavaScript can hold variables that show you the value of numbers, that show you the value of messages, of words, etc., or both in some cases. Very rare cases, but for now at least, we hopefully have gotten across the message, no pun intended, that any variable can hold just about any value that we want it to.